just 36 seconds left. A blowout by the Fever.
Gutty performance from Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark had the ball in her hands. She became the creator of offense.
The Indiana Fever destroyed the Atlanta Dream.
That is Fever basketball.
No one expected a rookie shooting 1 for 7 from deep to erase a 2-time Olympian and flip a 20-point swing in 11 dizzying minutes. But that's exactly what Caitlin Clark did. Tonight, she transformed a sluggish -9 halftime deficit into a 99-82 beatdown, turning the league's hottest scorer ice cold and making a 6'9" legend disappear without dropping more than a dozen herself. How did a limping first-year guard hijack an entire game and in the process issue a warning shot to every veteran still doubting her? Stick around, because the answer rewrites everything you thought you knew about rookie limits. Jordan Canada walked into Gainbridge Fieldhouse looking more like Diana Taurasi than a guard who'd been stuck at 21% from deep all season. By halftime, she'd racked up 26 points and 6 three-pointers, shredding every switch the Fever threw at her and silencing a crowd that had come to see Caitlin Clark's show. Atlanta fed off the eruption. With Canada scorching and Brittney Griner patrolling the paint, the Dream sprinted into the locker room holding a 45-40 edge, looking every bit the playoff contender its record promised. For Indiana, the numbers felt ominous. Clark sat at 5 makes on 17 tries. 3 turnovers had piled up in the final minute, and the pace tilted toward Atlanta's length and size. What made the deficit feel larger than 5 was the optics. Griner, 6'9", 2-time Olympian, seemed to blot out the rim each time Aaliyah Boston rolled. Brianna Jones sealed smaller defenders at will. Social feeds exploded with takes predicting yet another learning night for a rookie whose 3-ball had suddenly vanished. On paper, the Dream's balance looked textbook. A star guard blazing, twin towers dominating, role players spotting up. But basketball doesn't live on paper. One adjustment, one surge of energy can flip a narrative. As the teams jogged back out for the third quarter, Caitlin Clark tightened her ponytail and pointed straight at Canada. Over the next 11 minutes, the first half fireworks would dissolve into a mirage. Caitlin didn't wait for a coach's whiteboard. As the third quarter opened, she slid in front of Jordan Canada and never left. Gone were the lazy handoffs that Atlanta feasted on earlier. Clark face guarded through every screen, hips low, feet churning like a cornerback in bump coverage. When Canada tried the same pull-up 3 that had splashed 6 times before, Clark smothered the release, barely a fingertip gap, and the ball clanked short. The effect was instant. Canada, who'd swaggered into halftime with 26 points, managed just 4 the rest of the night. Each blank possession tightened the screws on Atlanta's offense. Mistimed flare screens, rushed passes, panicked drives into traffic. Indiana's bench started roaring with every contested miss, feeding a crowd that had rediscovered its voice. Clark's stat line barely budged. No flashy blocks, no gaudy steal totals, but the scoreboard screamed her impact. The Fever ripped off a 14-2 run, flipping a 5-point deficit into a lead they would never surrender. More telling was the body language. Canada's shoulders slumped, Griner clapped in frustration, and Indiana's wings began leaking out for layups before Atlanta even secured the rebound. Locking down the league's hottest scorer was only step 1. With the Dream sputtering, Clark grabbed the reins on the other end, shifting from stopper to orchestrator. And that's when the real avalanche, 59 second-half points, came crashing down. With Canada neutralized, the Fever hit the gas. Clark wasn't hunting highlights. She was pulling invisible levers. One possession, she walked the ball up, reading Atlanta's coverage like sheet music, then lasered a bounce pass through 2 defenders to Aaliyah Boston for a lay-in. Next trip, she triggered a drag screen so high that Brittney Griner had to hedge near half court. Clark skipped a pass to Sophie Cunningham in the weak side corner, splash. Suddenly, the scoreboard flipped from tight to terrifying. Indiana poured in 59 second-half points, their biggest burst of the season. The numbers told only half the story. 4 of Clark's 9 assists led directly to free throws. Impact no box score records. Her tempo shifts wrecked Atlanta's timing. Slow walk-ups lured the Dream into lazy matchups. Then a lightning push left their 7-foot anchor wheezing in transition. Even when Clark seeded the rock, she bent the defense with hard cuts and decoy flare-outs, leaving cutters streaking uncontested. It was basketball alchemy. A rookie shooting 5 for 17, dictating every inch of hardwood. The Dream's huddle turned frantic. Switch, drop, trap. Nothing stemmed the bleeding. By quarter's end, Indiana was dancing. Atlanta was gasping, and the building felt like a playoff cauldron. But the real coup wasn't the points. It was who disappeared while they reigned. a two-time Olympian supposed to own the paint, found herself sprinting in circles, chasing ghosts drawn by Clark's chess moves. And that sudden vanishing act leads us straight into the next revelation. Brittney Griner was meant to be the trump card. 6'9", wingspan like a drawbridge, fresh legs after a mid-season signing. Yet by night's end, she looked like scenery rather than centerpiece. The Fever weaponized pace so relentlessly that Atlanta's anchor never found her spot. Each time Griner jogged into a drop coverage, Clark yanked her 20 feet from the rim with a high drag screen, lobbed the ball to a rolling Aaliyah Boston, and forced the Dream's help defenders to scramble. When Griner tried sagging back, Clark punished the paint with no-look darts to Nalissa Smith for easy push shots. The result? Griner finished with a quiet 10 points and 8 boards, a stat line as forgettable as a preseason box score. More damning was the -18 she posted during Indiana's second-half stampede. Every possession felt one step too quick for her to reset. By the fourth quarter, she was stuck in no man's land, hedging late, closing out slow, racking up frustration fouls that kept Atlanta out of rhythm. Brianna Jones didn't fare better. Forced into emergency rotations, the 6'3" bruiser picked up 2 fouls in 90 seconds, trying to plug the gaps Clark created, then fouled out with 6 minutes remaining. With the front court in survival mode, the Dream's vaunted size advantage flipped into a liability. Indiana shredded them for 42 points in the paint and another 18 from wide-open threes that Griner's delayed closeouts left unattended. The transformation was so thorough, you could see it in body language. Early on, Griner clapped and barked orders. Late, she lingered under the rim, hands on hips, watching another skip pass sail over her reach. A rookie guard had bent a legend's comfort zone until it snapped, and the whispers coursing through courtside seats asked the same question. If this is Clark at 80% health, what happens when she's fully unleashed? Here's the part most highlight reels miss. Caitlin Clark is still lugging around a bulky quad and a tender groin, injuries that sidelined her for weeks and have kept her burst at maybe 80%. On the road, her shooting clips have dipped into the high 20s, proof that full lift isn't back yet. Critics point to those percentages and the turnovers, insisting Indiana overscripts its rookie off the ball. Clark hears the noise, then rewrites it in real time. Against Atlanta, she leaned on brain over bounce, manipulating angles, toggling pace, and baiting traps so teammates could feast. Those 9 official assists could have been a dozen if free throw dimes counted, and she dropped them while clearly guarding her left side on drives. Limited explosion has actually sharpened her chess game. With less spring, she relies on anticipation, seeing the double before it forms, slipping a pocket pass the instant Brittney Griner's hips turn. Every sequence felt pre-programmed 2 moves ahead. Drag Griner high, skip to the corner, slow walk up, then dart back door when Jordan Canada relaxes. It was Steph Curry minus the flamethrower, plus a defensive scowl. And the doubters? They're still shouting about cold streaks, while Clark is quietly stacking wins. Since her return, Indiana has gone 5-2, and every possession she orchestrates is another reminder. When those legs finally catch up to that mind, the rest of the league will still be playing checkers on her chessboard. This loud never stays a pure sports story. The moment attendance records shattered and jersey sales spiked, veteran voices began murmuring that the league was giving Clark the red carpet treatment. One guard griped that highlight reels ignored triple-doubles from seasoned stars. Another claimed the rookie's foul calls came gift-wrapped. The chatter mushroomed when All-Star fan voting vaulted Clark past household names who'd been grinding for a decade. What outsiders saw as a feel-good ratings surge, some insiders framed as preferential treatment, proof, they insisted, that hype was outpacing merit. Yet the economics are impossible to ignore. Since draft night, television windows have doubled. Corporate partners have tacked bonus clauses onto Indiana broadcasts, and resale tickets now trade for NBA-level prices whenever Clark's in town. For a league still fighting for prime billing, she's both a lightning rod and a lifeline. One player who moves every metric that matters to sponsors. That reality fuels as much resentment as admiration, because each passing week redraws the pecking order. Front office executives downplay the friction, but cameras keep catching the little tells. A veteran rolling her eyes at another Clark question, a coach bristling when asked to compare crowd sizes. Even fans have split into camps. Diehards protective of longtime stars versus newcomers who tune in solely for number 22. The conversation has shifted from "can she hang" to "is the league ready for the juggernaut it just unleashed?" Still, controversy has a way of feeding the beast. Every soundbite jab, every social media squabble pushes viewership higher and stakes greater. And Clark, whether she embraces the spotlight or not, sits squarely at the nexus of praise and backlash, fuel for anyone chasing a storyline. But all this drama swirls around a version of Caitlyn who still isn't operating on full power, which raises the more unsettling question for 15 other teams. If a hobbled rookie can tilt the business side in the scoreboard, what happens when her body finally catches up to her brain? Caitlyn Clark hasn't even hit her top speed yet, and that should terrify the league. Right now, she's navigating games with a taped-up leg, a sore groin, and a shooting slump that would mentally rattle most players. She's still missing open looks she normally drills. Her signature deep threes, off. Her first step, a tick slower. And yet, she's already flipping games, silencing stars, and orchestrating entire fourth-quarter avalanches. So what happens when she finally feels like herself again? When that shot starts falling the way it did at Iowa? When she's flying off pin downs without limping, splitting doubles without hesitation, and calling her own number from the logo without second-guessing it, defenses won't just struggle to adjust. They'll drown. The floor will stretch past its breaking point. And players like Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Sophie Cunningham will eat even more easily off the chaos Clark creates. We've already seen glimpses, the one-legged cross-court dimes, the pocket passes under pressure, the transition lobs that look like NFL spirals. These aren't developing rookie tools. They're elite traits held back only by the body, not the brain. Give her legs back, and the ceiling lifts off the building. Indiana's next stretch includes heavy hitters: New York, Las Vegas, Dallas. These games will be tests, but they're also warnings. Because if Clark regains her rhythm while the Fever's chemistry continues to gel, those matchups could flip from uphill battles to national statements. And it won't be about the box score. It'll be about command, control. A rookie point guard dictating terms to MVPs, All-Stars, and Olympians. Not in 5 years, not someday, but now. And that brings us to what just might be the most important takeaway of the season so far. When the horn finally sounded on a 99-82 demolition, the box score told only a fraction of the story. Dig deeper, and three truths glare back like arena spotlights. First, defense travels. Clark flipped the game by erasing Jordan Canada, proving that effort and IQ can smother even the hottest hand. Second, gravity bends to vision. Her mere presence yanked a 6'9" Olympian out of position all night, turning Brittney Griner's size into a liability. Third, every possession she touches is brand equity. Ticket prices, TV windows, and league buzz all spike the moment Clark grabs the ball. That combination, lockdown grit, offensive magnetism, and commercial power, makes one thing clear. The rookie learning curve is already behind her. She's dictating tempo on bad legs. Imagine the upheaval when she's fully healthy. Tonight was more than a feel-good comeback. It was a shot across the bow of every veteran guarding the gate. Clark didn't need 30 points to dominate. She needed 12, a tight ponytail, and a chessboard where everyone else played checkers. So here's the challenge. If you think this is just the beginning of a league-wide reckoning, drop your boldest prediction and maybe a or 100% emoji in the comments. Because if a limping rookie can dismantle a playoff front court and hijack an entire broadcast, the WNBA might want to brace for what happens the day Caitlyn Clark finally lands at full power.